Hello, 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 everyone. Trying to make sure I'm situated on my platforms. So, hello and welcome, everyone. I'm on all three of my platforms. So, before I get started, I just want to say hi to everyone. So, on my Facebook group, Resilient Mosaic Step Parents, I want to give a shout out to all of you. And to my Instagram followers, I want to say hello. And to my YouTube followers on Ask Lois the Relatable Therapist, I want to say hi to all of you. And so today is Monday. We've made it to the end of one week, and now we're at the beginning of another week. And so, to all of you who are new to my platforms, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Lois Godot, and I am a licensed clinical professional counselor. And I'm also a transformation coach, and I've been in the blended family for 27 years. And and I'm also a therapist. Due to my therapy, I have coached and I've counseled, but sometimes be considered coaching, counseled couples that were in the blended family process. And because of that, I've created this coaching program called Mosaic Transformation Academy, based on my experience and my years of doing therapy. And in this coaching program, I work with step parents who are 1 to 5 years in the process of blending their family to combining their families to make a blended family. And in the coaching program, I help them to not feel like an outsider, to not feel like a third wheel, to help them not feel isolated or resentful in the relationship so they can create strong bonds and mutual respect as they build that solid foundation with their partner. So I like to just say hello to all of you, and now you know a little bit about me. And so today I usually do Motivation Monday on Mondays. And today I decided to include Instagram. And what Motivation Monday is, it's usually just like 5 or 10 minutes, just little nuggets that I give on Mondays. And these nuggets are to uplift, encourage, and strengthen my Facebook group and my YouTubers for the rest of the week. And so I've included Instagram, so you'll be a part of this, my Motivation Mondays. So today I think I titled my post a little differently, but what I want to do is I want to look at and see, are the behaviors related to being in a blended family? Because a lot of times what happens is people will say, oh, they're acting like that because they're in the blended family. And sometimes that's just not the case. Sometimes it's due to the age, the chronological age of the child, and the stage that that child is in, is why those behaviors are being exhibited. And whether they were in a blended family or a nuclear family, you'd still see those behaviors. And so I kind of wanted to kind of just look at that a little bit today. And one of the examples of a stage is that we want our children to have emotional development. And sometimes in having emotional development, we want our child to be able to express, experience, and also recognize the various feelings that they're having, because that helps with emotional development. So let's just say your child is 5, 8 years old, and they scream at you, I hate you. Of course, the first thing as a parent or even a bio parent, you would look at that and say, oh my God, my child hates me. And you'd feel bad about that. But remember, they're learning to express themselves. They're learning to express their emotions. And so, yes, you would say something to them, try to help them have respectful behavior, because there's a way to say something in a respectful way. But what you really do is try to help them to figure out what those underlying feelings are. And you would help them to be able to process those feelings. So that's one example of how a child is going through a particular stage, and we may misunderstand that and assume that that has something to do with the blended family, because they'll say that in a nuclear family. Another example would be having our teens accept autonomy, which is we want them to be able to be empowered for themselves and be able to make decisions. So sometimes when our teens are trying to have that autonomy, they may become a little rebellious, or they may become resistive. And so what we do as parents is we try to help them set boundaries, and also to reduce those resistive behaviors or rebellious behaviors. So we want them to be able to make decisions. We want them to be able to have good self-esteem, but we also sometimes realize we have to have boundaries, because sometimes it gets a little out of control. So those are just two examples to show you that sometimes when we see behaviors, it's not about the blended family, but it's really the stage that that child is going in. Thank you for joining. And so, what I wanted to do is just look at just a few, because I could, if I went through all of the behaviors that's in a blended family, we'd be here for more than the 5 or 10 minutes that I'm wanting to be on here. But I just want to look at like just three of the ones that I see that keep coming up a lot of the times. And one of the first things to recognize in the blended family is that there is a shift. I like to call it the triangle has changed. And when I say the triangle, because usually with the child, it's the mom, the dad, and the child. When a step parent comes in, now that triangle has shifted. Now it becomes a square. Had to remember what it was. It becomes a square. It's mom, dad, the child, and either the stepmom or the stepdad. So now that triangle is starting to shift. And so the child may say to you, "You're not my mom, you're not my dad." That's a behavior we see in blended families. And the truth of the matter is, they're right. You're not their mom, you're not their dad, based on their triangle that they were used to. And so now you have to get that bond with that child, so then you can become that square, so they can include you into it. And so when we hear that you're not my mom and you're not my dad, it lets us know that this probably is a blended family situation, because you usually don't hear a child tell their bio parent, "You're not my mom, you're not my dad." They may say that you haven't been here for me, but they don't say you're not my mom and you're not my dad. And so what has to happen in that situation is that the bonding has to take place. And it takes time for that bonding to take place. Another thing that we'll see in the blended family that is related to a blended family situation is the grief or the loss. The grief or the loss after a separation, after divorce, or after a death. Any one of those happen, you're going to see a grief or a loss within the child. And what the child is grieving is, of course, if the parent has died, they're grieving their parent that has passed, but also they could be grieving their old life, how things used to be with them. They could also be grieving their family home. Maybe they have to move now. It's not a two-income family anymore. One of the parents has moved out. Now they have to move. So instead of being in a house, maybe now they're in an apartment. And if they have to move, they've left their friends that they grew up with, they had relationships with. Now they're moving. And a lot of times the friends don't keep in contact, especially if they move further away. Also, they're going to lose some of their family members. Sometimes when people go through a divorce or a separation, family members get disconnected and they're not attached anymore. And so they might have the infighting. So they're losing that. So when we say a loss, the children are actually having a loss. And then with the loss, we may see some behaviors come about because of that. But it's not because they're having a behavior by itself, but it's directly related to the grief or the loss. So you may see them having difficulty sleeping. You may see them having trouble at school. They may be angry. They may be self-injurious. They may have those defiant behaviors, but it's related to the grief that they're feeling. And as a parent, once you understand what behaviors are they exhibiting because of the grief, now you can help them with it. And the third thing that I see is that when behaviors start is because of the different parenting styles. You and your spouse, you and your partner, you have two different parenting styles. And the thing is, in the blended family situation, it's different than in a nuclear family. Yes, you and your partner or your husband or your wife may parent differently, but you still feel like you have some control. You still feel like you have a say-so. You still can make decisions. Sometimes in the blended family, the way that the child will be disciplined has already been determined by the bio parents. Or you may say something and no one may not really listen to you. Because remember that triangle, it's still the mom, the dad, and the child. And you may feel like, you're not being heard. And that child knows that. And so some kids, they play on that. They play on that, well, no one's listening to her anyway. So then they may have a behavior. I don't have to listen to you. You're not my mom. You're not my dad. So I just wanted to just point out today, someone says, yes, change is definitely difficult for children and even for adults as well. Absolutely. change is difficult for everyone around. So when I talk about that triangle, even you as a bio parent, you're as a step parent, you're trying to fit into that dynamic that's already been established. And so today I just wanted you for Motivation Monday is when you think about the behaviors that the children are having. Think about it. Is it an ages and stages? Is it their chronological age and the stage that they're in? Or is it directly related to the blended family issue? And it's still a behavior that has to be addressed, but now you know how to address it. If it's something that deals with the blended family, you can get help in that area, such as coaching. With my coaching program, I help in that area. Or if it's in ages and stages, now you'll be more compassionate and understanding. Okay, this is a stage that they need to go through. Let me just help them adjust. Okay, so for Motivation Monday, I just want you just to think about what we've talked about today. The three challenges in a blended family that you will see with behaviors. You'll see it with the triangle dynamics. You're not my mom, you're not my dad, but the bonding needs to take place. You'll see it with the grief and the loss. What is their child grieving? And you'll also see it with the different parenting styles. And both parents have to get on the same page in order for it to work. All right. So that's all I have for you today. Talk to you later and enjoy the rest of your day. Okay. Bye bye.